All right, welcome back to the Powers on Sports podcast. We are here for another week of an episode. We got a couple of great interviews lined up for you. And first off, we are going to be talking to Barry Smith. You say Barry Smith? Who's Barry Smith? Well, Barry Smith's pretty important person in the world of Florida athletics. Florida State football, first team All-American 1972. First round draft pick of the Green Bay Packers. He's a Florida State wide receiving legend. He is the past president of the Florida Sports Hall of Fame. They're celebrating their 60th anniversary this week. They are doing their enshrinement down in Miami at the Doral Resort this week on Wednesday night. They got a great class that we're going to talk about here for a little bit, but I want to welcome in Barry Smith to the podcast. Thanks for coming in, Barry.
Well, Jason, thanks for the invitation. Always love talking sports, especially when we're talking about the state of Florida, which, I'm born and raised here in this state. I'm a native out of Miami, and there's no better place than to be in this great state, especially here in the Tampa Bay area where I live with, the Rays and the Lightning and the Bucks. Right. Tampa Bay.
That's it.
Not bad.
So yep. How did Barry Smith get from Miami to Tallahassee back in the late 1960s, early 1970s? How did that recruitment happen?
Well, from the collegiate standpoint, like you said, I played down in Miami at a brand new high school, Miami Coral Park. Some people they forget they think I'm from Coral Gables High School, which actually they were perennial powers back then and all that. But it was actually pretty simple. I was fortunate to be recruited by a lot of universities. My dad wanted me to stay in Miami. I was actually born and raised to be a Miami Hurricane. Started going to games in 1959 when I was 8 years old, and really loved the old Orange Bowl and being a Cane fan. But when it started getting that time to make decisions, I wanted to leave Miami. I wanted to, go somewhere else, sniffed around some different places, actually came extremely close to signing with the University of Tennessee because not only did I play football, but I ran the high hurdles. And I was a state champion actually in the National Junior Olympics. I finished 8th in the country. And Tennessee had and still does a tremendous track football relationship. And Bill Battle was the guy that recruited me. But
yeah.
And FSU was like 1A, let's say. It was 1 and 1A, Tennessee and all that. Loved Florida State. And really I got started following them in 64. There was a guy named Fred Biletnikoff.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was interesting also because back in the day when FSU and Miami played, and they played every year, all of the games were played in Miami because Miami refused to go to Tallahassee. So, it wasn't big time enough. So FSU, so while I'm really a Miami Hurricane fan, I'm watching FSU come down every year and play, the Canes. And so I was kind of familiar with the program. And anyway, when it came down to it, I said, would I want to live in the state of Tennessee when my playing days were over? And I go, no way, because I love Florida. Okay. I love everything about Florida. And so I said, well, it's going to be real easy. I'll go to Florida State. The little asterisk is my dad said, you can go to anywhere you want in the country except one university. And that was the University of Florida. He said, you cannot go to Florida. I will not sign any paper. Even if that's the only scholarship you could have, you're not going to Florida, which is, it was interesting, but there's some other stories around that. We'll call it the sins of the father. That's a whole nother thing. But anyway, so that's how I wound up in Tallahassee. And I absolutely loved it. I was there, freshman in 69. We couldn't play varsity back then. So right. We were part of a group. We were known as the Green Turds. And I lovingly say that, and I'm proud to have been a Green Turd because, back in the day, we were the meat squad. We were the scout squad and ran against the varsity. And so, the right. Defense was wearing their garnet jerseys and the offense is wearing their white jerseys. Varsity, all of the freshman players, we had to wear dark green jerseys.
Wow.
And so that's why we were known as the Green Turds.
I got you.
So,
That's it.
there you go. So that's how I went up in Tallahassee.
And I know this year, I remember I saw you and I talked a couple months ago at an event. You guys had a big celebration this year, right?
Yes, we did.
You reconnected with some old teammates up in Tallahassee.
Yes, 50 years ago this season, so the 1971 season.
Wow.
We played our 1971 FSU football team. We played in the inaugural Fiesta Bowl against Arizona State. It was the first time for that bowl game out in Phoenix. It was actually, that bowl game was set up for the WAC champion. Okay, the Western Athletic Conference. Arizona State was the team, back then, and it was hilarious because so we had to go from Tallahassee, fly it all the way out to Scottsdale to play against Arizona State. We played in their stadium. Right. It was a home game for them, but it was a WAC champion. And of course, all the officials were WAC officials. Anyways, they did wind up beating us 45-38. It was a real barn burner. It was a lot of fun. We baptized the game. Danny White, who was the quarterback for Arizona State, will tell you.
Went and played real quick. Danny White played for the Cowboys following Roger Staubach in the 80s.
That is correct. Danny White. We had him on a podcast a couple months ago talking about that game. And he goes, bar none, all the games I've ever played with, high school, college, pro, that was the most exciting game that I ever played in. Okay. And of course, for our side, we had Gary Huff. Gary Huff was All-American at Florida State, played with the Chicago Bears, and was the Bucs quarterback.
Right.
In 77, when they won their first two games, he led them to their first two victories.
Right.
But anyway, yes, it was wonderful to see. We had like 41 guys come back.
That's great.
And some of the guys we hadn't seen in 50 years. And it was just magic. It was a magic time. It was my junior year and a very special time. And it was also the first time that what was also exciting about that game, it was the first time that FSU had black athletes playing for Florida State to represent our university. We have four of those guys, Charlie Hunt, Eddie McMillan, Bobby Anderson, and JT Thomas, who wound up playing with the Steelers, and he's got 4 Super Bowl rings.
Wow.
It was pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's a great story. So you were a 1972 All-American. You left Florida State as a fantastic college career. First of all, how did they tell you? How'd you find out you got drafted? Well,
I enjoy it. I always tune in, the first night of the draft, the NFL draft, to see all the pomp and pageantry. It's hilarious because back in our day, first the draft was actually the end of January.
Okay.
All right. The end of January. I was in my little apartment and sitting, in a sofa with the phone sitting next to me. There were no cell phones.
Right.
It was a rotator dial type deal.
No ESPN.
There were party lines. Yeah. There were no call waiting party lines, and then we knew the draft started at 10 o'clock. So you just sat there until the phone rang. Okay. Now at 10:05, the phone rang and I'm going, there's no way that I'm going to be like the number one choice. Picked it up. It was a buddy, calling, hey, did you get drafted yet? I hung up, get off the line. Anyway, later in the day, yes, I was the first round choice, 21st player picked in that draft, but it was just, an inside person with the Packers calling saying, hey, this is, like Jiggy Schmalhoff for the Green Bay Packers. Just want to let you know, you've been selected by the Packers and we'll get back to you. And that was it, and it was hilarious. I can tell you some other stories like, a lot of guys were out partying and all that stuff. We were fortunate. We had a number of guys get selected, in that draft. But it was then, that's really it. There was no pomp and pageantry.
Right. That was my point. That was my point is how benign and how vanilla.
Nobody put the hat on you, the jersey to come out, and you were going to be instantaneously a mega millionaire. Okay. Right. It was listen, back
in the
signing
bonus. What was your signing bonus?
$50,000.
Okay.
That's $50,000. And let me tell you, I can tell you, Chuck Foreman, Burgess Owens, we were all right around the same thing. Everybody made 50 grand. 50 grand. I was like, awesome. Are you kidding me? Most guys, you had jobs in the off season because, you weren't really making that much money, but you know what? would do it all over again. Loved it. A tremendous, it was a tremendous experience. And
we're gonna talk. We're not done with your career. I just wanted to get your draft experience. I just want to get your draft night experience. All right. You were at Florida State pre-Bobby Bowden. So
yes.
You just finished before Coach Bowden had got there. Obviously, I know over the years you've gotten to know him, and obviously with him just passing in the last few months. Just your thoughts on Coach Bowden and what he transformed that program from when you were there, when you guys were building it, to where he took it to.
Well, first of all, to me, nobody can ever say enough about Bobby Bowden. And from a football sense, his record speaks for itself. Okay. Incredible head coach. And I think what he did so well is, to me, more importantly, was the man that he was, because here's the difference. When he was, it was tough to let him go, so to speak, just like Landry and Shula, and, it's just time to move on. And, Bob's got a heart of a warrior. There's no question about that. Every one of his former players rallied behind him. They all love Bobby Bowden. I can't tell you that about some of the coaches I played for, that we all loved our head coach, or we all loved, okay? Bobby Bowden, they all loved him because he was also a father figure. I know you've heard that, but in so many times of talking to Coach Bowden, he goes, there's more to life than playing football. Okay. Playing football is giving these kids a chance to get an education. A lot of them, it was the first time in their family that they would ever go to college. Okay. But more importantly, he felt that it was to become leaders in the community, great husbands, more importantly, great fathers, and then be active in your community and to give back. And I think without a doubt, that's what he accomplished, more so than just winning games. It was the man that he was and the leadership that he gave to these kids. And I right now, I think that in some areas there's a shortfall in that right now in our society. Okay. In my opinion.
And how Bobby was in the same community for so long. He could have left many, many times, I'm sure, for a different job, whether it was, I know he was there was some talk of in the mid 80s, him going to Alabama potentially. I'm sure there were some other behind the scene offers that we never heard about, where he could have gone other places. And for him to stay in Tallahassee for as long as he did and keep doing what he did is pretty special.
Well, again, I'll say, when you think about how Bobby came to FSU, how short-sighted West Virginia was to kick him out, actually, ran him out, because he was winning up there, okay, was building a good program, but whatever reason. And how lucky, fortunate, I say, that God blessed Florida State University with Bobby. No question, he had many opportunities, and like the University of Florida did. Think about when Steve Spurrier had a chance to go back to Florida.
Right.
And obviously he was an icon. Nobody had ever accomplished at the University of Florida what Steve Spurrier did, okay, for that university. And then when they decided you can interview for the job. Right. Well, he's already got a resume. He doesn't need to interview. Well, basically the same thing. And what happened was at the University of Alabama, because Bobby had always made it known, because he's from Alabama. We all get it. He said, if I had a chance to go to Alabama, I'm going. And nobody could, feel bad about that. And then all of a sudden, here he is. He's on his way, then realizes he was going for an interview. And he goes, he said, turned the car around, and that was it. Right. He's not going to do an interview. And you know what? Thank you, Alabama.
Right.
Thank you, Alabama. So, we're all going to miss Bobby Bowden, and he's just a wonderful human being. But the legacy that he has left behind, we'll call it the living legacy, all these thousands of players.
No doubt about it. All right, let's talk about the state of Florida State football today. Coach Norvell's in his second year. Rocky last year, a rocky start this year, but they've kind of turned things around the last 4 or 5 weeks as far as playing much better. You probably have met Coach Norvell on a couple of occasions, I'm sure. What are your general thoughts of Coach Norvell and kind of where the program's going, where he's taking it?
Well, first, without what's past is past. You can't undo what is past. I will say that Coach Norvell inherited a very, very difficult situation. I like to say, basically, by the time he got there, the cupboard was bare. Okay, the cupboard was bare, and then to come in and all of a sudden the COVID issue hits.
Right.
And so so think about, you can't even go through a spring practice.
Right.
Okay. You can't have, you can't recruit anything, and in the springtime, that's when you really evaluate every one of your players. Okay. To find out, are they the real deal? That might be, and you kind of, all right. And so you never had that. Okay. And then, so again, I'll just say, because the culture that he had inherited,
right,
players and all that. So last year was a difficult year. Yes, it was very hard to watch. Right. We all love our universities, and we should all be, whatever university you went to, you should be passionate about yours. Okay, this year much improved. The win-loss isn't quite there yet, but other than, I think, pretty much, the Wake Forest game, we have been in all the games. Last year we were just getting our ass beat left and right.
Right.
Okay. So we need to find a way to win, but at least we're in the game. Right. Okay. So technically we're doing better. We need some help in some players. It's like, as somebody said, okay, well, you know what? I like Norvell a lot because I love his passion. I love his enthusiasm. He's doing it the right way. He's he's team oriented. And I think some of the past players, our team was more about me, myself, and I. And, you played ball, you played football, most sports. It's a team. One guy doesn't make the difference. It's all about team. And I can tell you, as people ask me about my all-time favorite year, and I'd say 71, and I wasn't necessarily the featured wide receiver because we had a nice receiving crew, but I loved it because we weren't expected to win. We did win. We had some exciting games, and we were very close to being undefeated that year. And so it was just a special time. So, because it's about team. In the end, you forget about wins and losses and your records. It's about the journey that you have.
Yeah, I mean, and especially at the college level, that's Absolutely. Where the lifelong friends are developed, the camaraderie. Absolutely. It's different at the professional level because it's a business and it's more a money thing. Whereas at college level, this is where, like you said, you guys you've known for 50 years, you played with 50 years ago, are the guys you call on the phone today or can send an email to or whatever you need to do, and you guys can pick up right where you left off from the last time you saw each other.
Hey, I'll say this. I'm not ashamed to say I love my teammates from Florida State.
No,
everyone, wonderful guys.
Yep. Absolutely, no, absolutely. That's just. What are your thoughts of the players now? They have the ability to kind of go out and get their own marketing deals and make some money while they're in college.
Well, first of all, it's like a catch-22. First of all, I'll say I love the idea of doing that. Okay, and God bless them. Okay, I'm a capitalist, and let's do it. What I would say is that I feel that first of all, you knew this was coming. Okay, it's no surprise this was happening. When let's say the Power Fives basically broke away from the typical NCAA to form the bowl championship series and all that. When that happened, because I'm a traditional guy, I think, hey, you go to school to get an education, and football is a way to make that happen. That's why I didn't have money to go, pay for an education, so I had to work my way through by playing football. Okay, when they started paying, and I'll just say again, my opinion, ridiculous amounts of money to head coaches, and then to athletic directors and building the bigger, I got to keep up with the Joneses, all the money. Now you realize how much money was coming into those colleges. Okay. Yep. But yet they weren't sharing any of that with the players. And listen, I don't care how good any of these head coaches are. It's the players. I'm going to a game. I don't want to watch Lou Saban walk to the sidelines. It's for the players. So I felt that what the NCAA, the NCAA is always, they react instead of being proactive. And to me, what they should have done is saying, okay, we're going to take, we're going to carve out this money and we're going to spread it out to, let's say, those universities that were in those Power Fives, and incentivize, because we want our kids to get an education.
Correct.
So you can set up an annuity, and every year that a kid is in college and he's making progress to his degree, money XYZ is put into an annuity somewhere. And so, okay, when you graduate, when you finish playing ball, and when you graduate, whether it's in 4 or 5 years or you come back in 10 or 20, whatever it is, when you finish, here you go. So every kid gets, a piece of the pie. Right. But when universities held back, and said, we're not going to worry about the players, sooner or later, hey, I would have done it. You start suing because you knew that they were going to win. Okay. Yeah. But here's one of the headaches that I see about this. Okay. Let's say back when it's always been illegal to pay players. Alumni boosters cannot pay players. Remember,
$100 handshakes, man.
Right. Okay. I wish that I had that. Okay. I can tell you that never happened. Okay. All right. I might have got, I got pictures of free beer and a barbecue every now and then and all that, but come on. All right. So this was seriously, so, you couldn't pay players. Okay. Well, now with this new, players can go cut their own deals. Well, now an alumni can basically, put it this way, if let's say I'm an assistant coach, head coach comes to me and says, okay, Jim, you got to go sign that wide receiver. Okay. And you got to find a sponsor for that wide receiver because every other university is going to be doing it, because the kid's going to be looking at not only maybe playing, but what deal can I get? Right. Okay. Well, see, now you go to the card dealer and say, hey, Bob, would you put XYZ's player's face on a mug, or a cup, and just hand them out? You know what I mean?
Whatever you want. Or let them drive a car. Lease them a car.
Whatever it is. See? Yeah. So now it's like, so what happens is, what's going to happen is two things. One, all right, those universities that, say the have and have-nots. Listen, there are universities that have incredible amounts of money because of just their base and all that stuff, and other universities that don't. Right. Well, you're going to see those. And so now it's going back to you've basically legalized paying players. Okay. And the other thing is, think about this. An offensive lineman, as a wide receiver, if I don't have a great offensive lineman line that protects my quarterback, that gives him time to throw me the ball, how am I going to catch all those touchdown passes? But yet the deals, for the most part, wide receivers, quarterbacks, running backs, they're going to get the deals, and they're going to forget. Nobody's going to sign an offensive lineman.
The barbecue joint.
Right, maybe the barbecue. So, in the huddle, will that somewhere start creating problems? So universities better address that and come up with something. That's all. So I guess getting back, there's a lot of challenges now, more so when I played. I mean, come on, it was a whole different deal. A lot of challenges now.
I got you. All right. Yep. So you transition to the National Football League. First round draft pick, Green Bay Packers, 1973. You play 4 years in the NFL. Obviously, you played for a famed franchise. What's one of the coolest things just about in general about you saying, I was a Green Bay Packer?
Well, without hesitation, getting a chance to play for a historic franchise was very cool, because everybody, I mean, especially then, they were winning all those championships and the early Super Bowls. Hell, Super Bowl II, which they didn't call it Super Bowl yet until after the fourth one. Okay. But my dad took me to the Packers Raiders game that was there in Miami in the Orange Bowl. Okay. So I got as a birthday, it was actually on my birthday. But no, to play for Green Bay was wonderful. The fans are incredible. I enjoy going back every now and then to a game and all that. A few years ago, we took the family, all the kids and their spouses, and it was just a wonderful experience. Last year, what was very cool is the NFC Championship, the Bucks and the Packers. Well, my son is a huge Buccaneer fan because he's raised here. Okay.
Sure.
I am also a huge Buck fan, but I'm also, a huge Packer fan. Those are the two games that I watch, and I enjoy. We got to go to the game, a father-son trip to Lambeau.
That's
okay.
Awesome.
And it was very historic because I couldn't lose either way, because no matter if the Bucks or the Packers won, I was going to win.
That's right.
But be honest with you, I was certainly pulling for the Bucks because I live in this community. I'm Florida, okay, and I know what the franchise has been through and what it means to this area and to the state. And it was very, very exciting. Playing at Green Bay, though, at the time that I was kind of like, you know what? Lombardi steps down just like Bobby stepped down, and let's say, actually, when FSU had those 3 years before Bobby got there, thank God it was after me, that they weren't winning games and all that. It was a very difficult situation. As a wide receiver, the 3 years I was up at Green Bay, I caught passes from 9 different quarterbacks.
Wow.
9 different quarterbacks. And it's not their fault. It was a very difficult time. They actually had played for Dan Devine the first 2 years. He had issues. I'll just say that. He was,
Former Notre Dame coach, Dan Devine.
Well, it is. And this is the crazy stuff. So they ran him out of Green Bay. They fired him at Green Bay. He goes to Notre Dame and wins the national championship.
Yep.
And which is like, are you kidding me? I got to play for Bart Starr in '75. Right. The prodigal son returns and all that, and enjoyed playing for Bart. I've got a game ball that was awarded to me by Bart Starr, and I tongue in cheek, because we went in '75. We were 0-5, the Packers, and we went down to play the Dallas Cowboys. In Dallas in their stadium, and they were 5-0. Okay, so we were prohibitive. There's no way that we're going to beat the Dallas Cowboys, and we upset the Cowboys. That was Bart Starr's first victory as a head coach in the NFL, and he gave the whole team a game ball, a special game ball, and all that. So after all these years, I just tell everybody, I caught 3 touchdown passes and won the game, but wonderful. I got traded. After 3 years of being up there, the new franchise, the Buccaneers, were coming in 1976. Yep. And I had actually bought season tickets to the Bucks even before I was ever down here, because I said, at some time I'm going to be back in Florida. And I like the idea of Tampa. I had, buddies down here, and, why not? And so I wanted, so anyway, I was, picked up in the expansion draft, because I told Bart, don't know what your plans are for me, but I'd love to go to Tampa. Yep. And I had started for John McKay in the College All-Star game. They don't have that anymore, but right. And so I knew him and the staff and all that stuff. But it turned out to be a very difficult year, as we all know, 0-14.
How different was it going from such a structured organization like Green Bay probably was to Tampa, where it was brand new, everything was new? Everybody was just trying to get their footing, just the whole operation of running a team, and John McKay coming in from USC.
Well, it was, when I say
shit show.
That's a shit show. Yeah. Well, let's put it this way. All right. So McKay, obviously iconic collegiate coach, Southern Cal national championships, and there's a big difference. As Steve Spurrier and a lot of other coaches will tell you, even Lou Saban will tell you, coaching in the NFL is night and day from coaching in college. And so I think there was a learning curve, because he brought a certain mentality, a USC mentality, that, hey, we're going to do it this way. And it didn't really work out too well. Okay, let's put it that way. A lot of people don't realize, because, we didn't have cell phones and ESPN and all that. So at the end of the year, I was not happy. A lot of the older vets were not happy with what went on. Anyways, I was fortunate. I got traded to the Miami Dolphins, and I was a huge Miami Dolphin fan, because I grew up in Miami. And in 1966, I was at the very first Miami Dolphins game. Okay, when Joe Auer took the kickoff, went 95 yards. But anyway, and Shula had been communicating with me, because I thought actually I was going to get drafted by Miami, but they had won the Super Bowl, so they were following Green Bay.
Right.
Let's put it that way. Anyway, but it's the way luck would have it. However, during the preseason, I contracted polio, and that was the end of my career.
Man.
So kind of crash and burn, baby. So it was that was the end of that. But there was a time that I had to learn how to walk again and all that kind of stuff. But you move past that. I'm thankful for the years that I got to play in the NFL and football, all that, and it's opened a lot of doors. And hey, I got a retirement from the NFL and benefits. That's a nice thing. Nothing like today's, but it's all good. And it's allowed me to meet a lot of great people over the years because I love sports, and I've always been able to blend business and sports together because let's face it, the majority of Americans, especially American men that are business leaders, a lot of them wish they could have played in the NFL.
Okay. Absolutely.
So they enjoy, that I've been able to connect those, and make a real nice living,
that's terrific. And obviously, you're one of the few people in this world that can say they played 4 years in the NFL, was a first-round draft pick. So no matter how long your career lasted, you had a hell of a run, and obviously you got to finish your career back in the state of Florida, and you've created a business life for yourself. Let's get to the last part of what you're doing now. You've been very involved in the Florida Sports Hall of Fame. You were a past president from 2019 or 2015 to 19. You're now still heavily involved in the organization. Talk about the Florida Sports Hall of Fame. They're having, as the time of this recording, you've just had your 60th presentation and enshrinement down in Doral this week. Talk about the Florida Sports Hall of Fame in the class of 2021. Well,
obviously our board, our members were all very excited because we were not able to do anything in 2020. COVID shut us down, which was very frustrating because we had really built up a lot of momentum. Okay. And again, we get back to the team. I was able to surround myself with wonderful businessmen and women that knew how to grow this organization that we have.
Right.
But anyway, so let me tell you, some of the guys, the individuals that are coming in, and that's why I got the glasses on, because I can't remember all these things. Bill Diaz is coming in. Bill Diaz, University of Miami swimming and diving coach, has put so many Olympic gold medalists, for the United States, up there. Al Leiter, one of the greatest pitchers ever, World Series champion a couple times, Roberto Longo from the Panthers, tremendous
hockey
goalkeeper.
Career. Yep.
He's coming in. Absolutely. Jim Morris, from the Miami Hurricanes. I've lost track how many national championships he's won. I wish that Florida State could figure a way to at least win one at some point in time. Jim was able to do that. Alonzo Mourning, from the Miami Heat. What a great name.
Yep.
A great individual. As a matter of fact, I was down in Miami a few weeks ago, went to one of my high school football games. I was in town and I went. They were playing Alonzo Mourning High School, and I was there.
Wow.
At his school, so to speak, named after him down there.
Nice.
Ed Reed, great, Ravens and great Miami Hurricane.
Yep.
Coming in. Dwight Stevenson, Miami Dolphins, already in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yep.
And then last but not least, great Gator swimmer and gold medalist, Dara Torres.
Yes.
And so we have all of them will be there. One of the things that we do with our Hall of Fame, we have elections every year. Okay. And let's say he or she may get elected to the class, to a specific class. And for whatever reason, they cannot make that enshrinement. Okay. We don't enshrine them. I know we give them 5 years you got 5 years to attend one of our events, because we don't want an event. We have 8 people, and what if 8 of them, none of them can show up.
Yeah.
I go, no, that's why we have so that's the criteria. If you commit, you're there. and that's it. That's why our Hall of Fame enshrinements are special, because all of the Hall of Fame members are there. And of course, a lot of the past winners are there and all that. So it's very special. And then we also have we designate every year, we have a Fame for Fitness Award that we designate a specific charity that we recognize as working with kids and families and things like that, organizations to help, and will be recognized. Sides, which is a tremendous group down there working with youth.
What is the website if anybody wants to get involved with the Hall of Fame or contribute or be a part of the organization? Where can they find that information?
This is really easy. Here's your acronym here. Okay. FLA Sports HOF.org.
There you go.
Okay. FLA Sports HOF.org. There you go. And you can see all that. Yep. We're looking forward to, especially 2022. We have a new incoming president, Rick Hatcher, who runs the Sports Commission, Sports Authority down the Treasure Coast out of Port St. Lucie. Yep. And he has a 2-year term, and we're very excited about that. And a lot of thanks to our board members who've done a marvelous job.
Well, that's a great class you're having. A lot of big time, very known names. Leiter, Al Reed, Alonzo Mourning, Dwight Stevenson. I mean, that's a star-studded enshrinement this year, so you guys should be commended.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jason.
Well, Barry, it's been a pleasure, man. You've done great work over the years. I met you a couple months ago at a high school event here in Tampa at a cigar factory. You and I chatted for a while.
Well, hey, listen, remember, Tampa, Cigar City, baby.
That's it.
Yep, that was it. Love it.
And Barry's wearing his Tampa Bay Buccaneers jersey as we're doing this interview. So, and one more thing I'm going to mention about Barry, I'm going to brag on Barry. Barry's name's on the Florida State softball and soccer team offices on campus. So thanks for the continued support at Florida State University. I know, again, the soccer program, the softball program are both doing great jobs in athletics over there in Tallahassee. And you've been a very staunch supporter of Florida State athletics.
Well, thank you, Jason. If I can add, that is the team building that sits, between our soccer and softball programs, the women's soccer and softball, which they've all been national champions. And that building carries my name and my wife's name, Marianne Stiles. I'm very proud. And when we made that commitment a number of years ago, a lot of people thought I was out of my mind. You go, you played football. Why wouldn't you support, football? I go, well, football, everybody supports a football program. Right. And, we have a daughter too. And I'm a big proponent of women's sports. And so we thought, you know what, if we made that commitment back then, and this was before they developed the national champions and all that, right. We stepped up and we just wanted to sort of lead in that direction. And now we have national champions, and we love going and follow our ladies because they're just they're wonderful representatives of our university.
Yeah, the Florida State women's athletics in the last 10 years has really gone through the roof. Yep. As far as their competitiveness and winning national championships and all whether it's basketball, soccer, softball, a lot of great programs. Yep. Actually, a girl that I went to high school with way back in the day, she was a big time track runner at Florida State when I was at Florida State. Peggy Arman, she was a big time high jumper and track athlete. So I'm very familiar with I've got some personal experience with people that I went to high school with that followed me to Florida State and ran women's track at Florida State as well. So Barry, keep up the great work, man.
Thank you.
Great getting to get some time with you. And good luck. I know you had a great Hall of Fame induction this year. Keep up the great work, and we'll talk real soon.
Take care. Thank you, Jason.
We'll be right back on the Powers on Sports podcast.